Hey everyone, it's me, Ari Dustin. You can call me Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Subscribe to this channel, donate with the links below. PayPal is the fastest. Also become a member of the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, listen. I'm about to give a warning to all of you over here. This video is for believers that follow Christ, but hey, everyone else can also listen. But nevertheless, I'm going to give you a very important warning. And I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. And I will repeat myself from time to time in this message because repetition helps in teaching people. And I've been on YouTube for more than a decade, so I know the repetition works. Listen to what I'm saying here. Examine how you feel after talking to someone. Okay, I'm going to repeat it 2 more times. Okay? Examine how you feel after talking to someone. Another time, and then I'm going to explain why. Examine how you feel after talking to someone. Listen, as human beings, we're social creatures. We're not meant to be islands all to ourselves. Human connections are natural for us. We need it for our mental well-being. And because of that, and also because we are interdependent on one another, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to our physical well-being. Because if your mental well-being is backwards, you will be physically messed up also. Simple as that. So your mental well-being is quite important, because if your mental well-being is backwards, you will have physical problems too in your body. Now, because we're fragile creatures, we have to be sensitive and considerate of one another. We should have empathy towards one another. Absolutely. Whether it's between you and a stranger, someone you're not involved with, or someone you're close involved with, you should be sensitive and considerate of your fellow human beings. How you talk to them, how you act towards them. And even if you're upset, you need to consider their well-being. That's natural, that's healthy. So anytime you are involved with someone, whether you talk to them in person, in real life, or you talk, everything that you do is in real life, but anyway, we talk to them in person, or you talk to them on the phone, or you just text one another, anytime you have an interaction with someone, when the interaction ends, whether it's just you texting each other for 5 minutes, or whether it's you have a conversation of 2-3 hours, or a consultation of 8 hours, or 10 hours, I don't care. Listen, anytime the interaction ends, you should feel improved, you should feel bettered, and even if the individual confronted you and criticized you about certain things, if they done it from a good heart, you will realize, okay, they mentioned some dysfunction of me. I'm not comfortable that they called it out, but you know what? They called it out, I need to do something about it. So maybe the first few minutes after the interaction, you don't feel better, but eventually within a few hours afterwards, or the next day, you realize, even though this individual talked to me and I was really happy how the conversation went, eventually realized he had some valid points I need to work on. What I'm saying is, you shouldn't just interact with people just to get a high on the inside. That's the same as being a drug addict or being an alcoholic, chasing a high. You shouldn't be an emotional junkie using people. That's not right. That's narcissistic. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying, anytime there's an interaction with someone, afterwards, there must be something that contributes to your long-term well-being or long-term prosperity. Let's say you're often late for work, and a colleague tells you, listen, man, I know you're late quite often. Do you sleep well? Do this and that? You really should pay more attention because this and that. Listen, even though you may not be happy with the conversation, it did help you out to be more on time. Or let's say now that you tend to, go silent anytime you feel a bit uncomfortable. And let's say one of your friends or maybe an acquaintance tells you, you know what, Jeffrey, you often close off. You often close off yourself anytime you kind of get uncomfortable. It's not really helpful because we don't know what goes on with you, so we can't really be there for you. It makes us feel rejected also, like we don't matter, whatever. So by the individual, in a loving way, confronting you and give you constructive criticism, you may not feel happy, you may feel a bit defensive, but the next day you realize, you know what, it was the proper thing. Look, of course you can have interaction with people where you're all laughing, having a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. But not every interaction with other people will all be you guys laughing together, making jokes and having fun. Sometimes you have interactions where someone is contributing to you, sharpening you, improving you, coaching you. That needs to happen too. You're getting feedback. Listen to what I'm saying. There are two warnings you need to look out for. If the interactions you have with an individual are all about having fun, having a good time, getting high, or if it's all fleeting relief, then okay, you can have fleeting relief and conversation from time to time. If that's the only way you interact with an individual, then maybe something off with that relationship. If the individual never cares to give you feedback in any shape or form, they don't really consider your well-being. They don't really care that much about you. Because if they did, at some point we'll say, okay, we can make jokes together and laugh and have a good time, watch movies, all of that, but we need to do this and that too. So that's one red flag you need to watch out for. Another thing is, anytime you interact with someone and you, at the end of the interaction, you feel worse off, you feel drained, you feel robbed, or you feel like you're in danger, I'm telling you, in some cases, the problem is not the other individual, it's you. You may have an issue of feeling attacked, or you may be the one feeling offended quickly. Check yourself. If you realize the issue is you, you're going to therapy, you're going to counseling for you to improve. Simple as that. Okay? But if the issue is not you, then you need to ask yourself the following. Why every time I finish talking to this individual, I feel worse off, I feel drained, I feel hindered in my life? You need to start asking yourself those questions. Now look, if the other individual is calling out things that you need to pay attention to, and you just don't want to hear it, you want to be left alone, then the problem is you. You don't want to face reality, and you don't want to adapt and be ahead of things. In that case, it's not other individual to make you feel bad. It's you not resisting to face reality and improve. That's the issue. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where you're open for improvement, when you're open for better, and you still are in contact with someone, and every time after you finish talking to them, you feel worse off. Listen, don't make conclusions too fast about these things, but pay attention. Because listen, your intuition as a human being is never wrong. If you're not at peace internally after interacting with certain people, that means there's something either off with the interaction, you're involved with them, or there may be something seriously wrong with that individual that you haven't noticed yet. Now, of course, it's just an alarm going off in your spirit. You still need to do your research, find out what goes on. But just do the following. And if it happens one time, okay, one time is instant. If it happens the second time, and there is a bit of time between, it's different. But don't let it happen the third time. The second time you have an interaction with someone, and you feel drained, depleted, attacked, in danger, hindered afterwards, let me tell you, or you may even feel used or abused, whatever. Anytime you experience that, your intuition is hinting you that something's off. Let me give an example. Let's say you have an acquaintance and they reach out to you and talk to you. But every time you finish talking to you, whether it's through text messaging or through the phone or whatever, or let's say in person, you feel a bit heavy, or you feel a bit taken advantage of. But you think this individual didn't ask me for money, this individual didn't come and scream at me and offload their issues on me in a violent way, so you can't point out why you feel off. Then you go and talk to someone else about this individual, and the other individual tells you, okay, she called you and she talked to you. How often does she ask how you're doing? How often is she giving feedback onto you? How often is she even show interest in a basic level about your well-being? Okay, so the only time she talks to you is when she's upset and she needs some sympathy. So you didn't notice it, but other individual who's an outsider, they look at the situation and they can see clearly what goes on. Look, I'm not telling you if you're in an escaping mode, only want to hear things that are pleasant, you're the problem. You're the toxic one, only wanting to hear things that please your ears. I'm not talking about that. If you're open, transparent, willing to change, and willing to contribute for the better, if you're of good quality, and every time after you finish talking to someone, you feel worse off, and even your physical health goes a little bit backwards, For example, you couldn't sleep at night after talking to this individual, or you feel tired, you have chronic fatigue the next day. Check those things. The body doesn't lie. And this is the problem with many of you who are listening. If this does not apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you, okay? But if it does apply, you need to pay attention. Too many of you are ignoring the warning symptoms in your intuition. Let me tell you how I do it. When I interact with someone, I always check how I felt the next 2 days after talking to this individual. If every time I have an interaction with this individual, my physical health is a bit strained or goes a little bit backwards afterwards, I begin to think, you know what, let me limit my interaction with this individual immediately. But what happens with a lot of you guys? Because someone is closely related to you, or their family-in-law, or direct relatives, or quote-unquote friends, or acquaintances, or colleagues, whatever, and because you have things in common with this individual, you kind of brush it aside. Brush something aside once or twice, that, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you brush things aside all the time, you develop toxic tolerance. What is toxic tolerance? Toxic tolerance is when you become insensitive to warning symptoms. When you become insensitive to warning symptoms, that is toxic tolerance. The danger with toxic tolerance is you will not notice anymore that you're in danger. And because you don't notice anymore you're in danger, it's only when it's way too late will you realize, oh my God, how did I end up in this situation? How did I end up in this dangerous place? Look, am I saying that you have to be violent, screaming at people, being emotional anytime you feel a bit upset by something they said or anything like that? No. I don't tell you to be a narcissistic crybaby. Absolutely not. Just examine your interactions with people. And I don't care if they are a fellow believer. I don't care if you fellowship for hours with this individual in the past. Anytime you have an interaction with someone and you are the one going to mental distress or physical discomfort afterwards, again, check yourself. If there's something about you that needs to improve, then you need to work on you. But if it's not you, check what goes on, even if you have something to work on, okay? If there's also something wrong with the individual, that you have your own issue to deal with, doesn't cancel out there's something after the other individual too. I'm just telling you, we need to be sensitive enough to warning symptoms. And too many of you have developed toxic tolerance. Look, you don't have warning symptoms for nothing, okay? You should pay attention to it. Too many of you, it's your lifestyle to ignore warning symptoms. Because it's too painful for you to admit that some of the people close to you who should have known better didn't know nor do any better. It's a painful thing for you to admit. But you know what? If you need to break down about it, cry, to process it, you break down and cry, you admit it. And you look for counseling, whatever it is you need to recover. You're not going to keep yourself in danger over and over again. Because at some point you won't even notice that you're in danger. And that's the big problem with toxic tolerance. You should have tolerance anyway, because you can't expect everywhere you go on the earth, everything has to bend over just the way you want it at the expense of everyone else. No. You should consider other people too. However, when it comes to danger and harm, you should not be tolerant of that. You should be, okay, this situation is getting a little bit dark, you know what? If you see a way to call it out or to hint towards it, you do that. If not, you walk away and you put this on a pause. This is what you do. But also look at yourself. Because don't just feel uncomfortable and say it's all them, it's all them. Because if you have 10 people in your life who are sugarcoating everything you do, who always make excuses for you, of course you're going to feel comfortable being around them. Even though there's no peace inside of you, you still feel comfortable around them. You're going to feel happy after interacting with them. If there are 10 people in your life always saying being a yes ma'am or yes sir towards you, and then you have one individual giving you feedback, of course you will often feel a bit bad out talking to the individual giving you feedback, because you're used to being pampered with excuses. So in that case, if the individual gives you feedback, makes you feel uncomfortable, if that interaction makes you feel uncomfortable, it is for you to realize that, hold on a minute, how comes only this individual gave me feedback? How comes only this individual pointing me for improvement? How come all the other people in life are not doing it? That's a wake-up call for you to realize that other people don't really care that much about you. They're just using you for a good time. Or they may even be against you behind the scenes. Look, we need to self-reflect. We need to have self-awareness, and we need to self-reflect on ourselves. Again, examine every interaction you have with someone. How does it affect you? If you are doing your part sincerely and you're truly doing your part, but you notice that still interacting with certain people is simply going to make you feel worse off, I'm telling you, it's time to take a step back. Again, don't abuse this message. Don't misuse this message to justify a narcissistic attitude of yours of only wanting to hear this what you want to hear, and the moment you're called out, you ghost people. Don't do that. I'm talking to the people here who are genuine and really want better and want to be of quality. Examine your interaction with people, please. And do not develop toxic tolerance. And if you have developed toxic tolerance, you need help to get to unlearn that. It may not be easy, but you need to go through it. Therapy may work, or maybe counseling with fellow believers. Whatever you need to do it for your well-being. You matter. Remember that.